we want to develop with a technician from the area. We want to develop a special harvesting technique where we use from the, I told you about this cutting thing from the winery, which we want to all take on one side and then collect in a kind of a basket, and then always make a rope around it. So then we have like piles with ropes, and then we can come and collect these piles, and then we can hang them in the barn, and we can feed them as tree fodder to the cows. Because one other benefit is, because the trees, they root much deeper, they also can loosen a lot of minerals which we don't have normally in the hay. So that's why we have to additional feed our cows always with like this how do you say, stones where they can do and take the minerals, the salts, yeah. And we probably will have to do this less if we start feeding. I mean, we already started with like shrubs from the area around the forest, but we will do this more intensively to feed them tree fodder. Like the cutter is like driving here on this field is actually a tractor will drive. So that's why we have always like a 2 meter strip with perennial shrubs and flowers on the north side, and there a tractor can drive in and can prune this, and we actually want to prune this in the end of June. So to give the trees enough, like to harvest, if you want to do tree fodder, you have to harvest it at the end of June, after the sun is turning, after the 21st, because then you have the best amount of nutrients in the leaves, because later on the leaves they will have less nutrients. And also you have enough time for the tree to make new shots and to become hard enough for the winter. So that's why you have to do it as early as possible. And there's another benefit of pruning it during this time of the year, because if we prune it then, after it, our cultures on the fields, they start ripening, and then they get more sun to ripen. And also, every time we prune a tree, he is losing some of its roots, and he is exudating growth hormones from the roots to regrow. And these growth hormones, they support also the cereals to grow more in a stage where they start ripening, and where they can where they are usually they are like the beginning of the ripening period is also deciding on how big the corns will be inside. And if they get more growth hormones in this period, they probably will become bigger, will get bigger corns.
But for your question, it's only this row. The other twos will not be pollarded.
No, it's just this row. This row is in every, like we have always 50-meter strip of arable land where we grow right now potatoes, and in the next year, I don't even know what we grow next year. I think rye will be here on the field. Roggen, yeah. Rye, yeah. So we have always 50 meters because our machinery is either 3 meters or 5 meters, or the sprayer where we spray compost here is 15 meters. The combine harvester has 7.5 meters, so that everything fits inside. So we don't have to do an extra drive. Every 50 meters we have a row with this pollards, which are for fertilization and also for biodiversity. We have many different trees, and if you pollard them, there will be a lot of small holes where some of the tree is a little bit dying, and in the small holes there's like small water collections, and that's a perfect spot for many insects to develop. So we also think we support insect diversity a lot with pollarding them and not cutting them here on the ground. And also here on the ground we do nothing, and here there's an area where other animals can live. Yeah. And then we have a row always on the south side with wild berry shrubs. So these are different breeds of sea buckthorn, and we have other varieties like aronia and like plum, and what else do we have? Cornellkirsche, Cornus Mars, I don't know English name, Cornell cherry I think. So this will be harvested, and I think they will start giving some yield next year. I mean, this year they are not yet ripe. There's something, but it's more like it's not really. There's no point in harvesting it this year, I think. That's always on the south side because they need a lot of sun. And here, if you have in the back side kind of a protection from the pollard trees, also it's like a little bit like a sun trap, so it gets a little bit hotter here. And then in every second row we have a middle line. Here it's not really representative because there's a power line going on top, so maybe you can walk a little bit further there. So these trees in the middle, their purpose is to become high value timber trees.
Oh.
So this is Corylus colurna, which is the tree hazel, which is giving quite nice wood. So these trees which we grow here, they are trees which need more light than we have in the forest. So that's why they are really rare nowadays, because not many people grow trees outside of the forest, and that's why we can earn quite high prices for the tree, for the timber. To get a high price, we have to have a straight shot, and we also are not allowed to have a lot of branches on the side. So that's why we have to go here and take off the side branches before they get bigger than 3 centimeters, so that it can make a nice stem. And then we also have to check if they are growing straight. That's why we always planted 3 together, because not every tree is growing straight, and then after around 10 years we can collect the straightest of this tree, and the others then are cutted back. So there we have different trees. For example, there was also Rubinia pseudoacacia. There's a cherry tree, and then a little bit further back there's Speierling and Speierling and Elsbeere. It's a sorbus species. So I mean these are also, this is quite nice, it's growing straight right now. Yeah. So they are for the purpose of high value timber trees, and then they will take around 50 years to mature. Mature? Yeah, to mature. And then in between we always have a small growing fruit tree, which is Mespilus germanica, I don't know the English name, which is growing there, where we make also marmalade from. Yeah. But this will be taken out also maybe in 25 years or something, when these trees become bigger. And when these trees become bigger in around 25 or 30 years, we also might take these shrubs here out, because they are grown for around 20 to 30 years. And then if these trees start shading them out, they will be taken out. But maybe
they are on the sun side.
They are, yeah. So I think they will stay quite long. So that's why we planted them on the sun side, and we also will take off the branches till around 6 meters height, so there will be sun coming through. And actually most field crops, they don't like full sunlight, They're rather like the diffuse sunlight, which is spread by the air molecules. Because if they get, like right now, if they get full sunlight, they can't stand it, and they even stop photosynthesizing during the day because it's just too hot to keep their stomatas open. Yeah. So, like you see,
exception of C4 crops.
Yeah, C4 crops are maybe not the best to grow in agroforestry systems if you have more shade. So, like maize or something. So here with our potatoes, maybe I say a little bit to the potatoes. We had a big problem because we got in the beginning of June we got a late frost. So most of the potatoes got a shock and they didn't fully recover. I think that's also part of the problem where so much wheat came up, because they couldn't like cover it completely. And then we have different varieties also. Some varieties do better. Like this, for example, this variety is doing much better. And we also see a big difference. We spreaded mulch on it. So we cutted our green land in the end of May. And then we put this on the manure spreader. And then we drove in and spreaded it on top to transform nitrogen and also to cover the dams so they hold more water. But here it didn't work perfectly. I mean, here you can see we drove here and here. That's where all this Kreuzblütler is coming up. I don't know actually what it is. I think it's from an intercrop and it's seeded again. We somehow had a big problem that during, I think, the last winter we had this Ölrettich in our mixture of intercrops, and it made seeds, and now we have quite some fields where we have a lot of Ölrettich standing in between, which is difficult if you have a really high diversity of intercrops and you combine them together. Sometimes something is going too early to seed, and then it's coming again in the culture.
Talking about the weeds, I really like biodiversity, but this looks like a lot of competition for nutrients and water will happen, and it will cost you a lot of yield.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have also like in the past years, we did always a trial where we did some potatoes like in the normal way, where we hoe a lot, hacken, yeah, where we hoe a lot, and in the last years the mulch was always much better in the harvest later on. Although we had some weeds standing in between. So here with the mulch we do just one. We put the potatoes in, and then we once put earth on it, and then we spread all the mulch on top. But this year it somehow didn't work so well with the spreading. Like you see here in the middle, like these two dams, they are quite nice covered, but also maybe not thick enough. What do you think? It's not thick enough, I think.
The thing to explain one thing, these two rows, there are no potatoes in there.
Yeah.
So that's where the trailer went,
Yeah.
like the spreader. And the thing with the mulch is it works best if we have a good potato development, because the amount of mulch left, it's a little bit less at the moment. It could be more at this time, especially with a dry summer this year. But the competition for the weeds is because of the dense stand of the potato. So it's normal that the mulch is going away during the season, but then you need to have closed rows. And shading out the weeds underneath.
So that's probably a variety which didn't stand the frost very well, so they never really fully recovered. So that's why they are now hanging over and might die in a few weeks.
When did you put it into the soil?
we put it in the beginning of May or middle of May. Yeah.
You had frost after that.
We haven't had frost until, I mean, also normally if we so we wait, so we put once more earth on it just before the potatoes come out, and then we wait again until they just come out, and then we put the cover with the mulch on top. So they are quite long. They have already quite developed quite a bit, but they're quite long protected against the mulch. But then we had a frost in the beginning of June, which was just too late, and all the potatoes were like this. And then after the
mulch was already on top.
What?
And the mulch was already on top.
Yeah, the mulch was on top. Everything was developed
because it isolates the soil, and so the warmth stays in and on top.
Yeah, maybe it's.
I think it's a common effect that just a few centimeters above the mulch, it's getting even colder because of the mulch.
Yeah, there might be a problem. Yeah.
You can have a look here. These two rows. If we wouldn't have the driving rows, that's perfect. There's still mulch there, and except for the root weeds, which you cannot control with mulch, it's impossible. They're quite clean. We have now these thick stand here, which gives competition, but these two rows are how you would like to have it. It's a little bit sad that they going backwards, but it's probably water and maybe not these strong plants, but not much beetle, which is nice. And Phytophthora is just starting.
Yeah, and here with this stem you can, on the ground it's still wet, so I think they get somehow enough water, and here where we don't have enough mulch, you can check if it's also wet. Yeah, it's definitely less wet, so you can see the darker color. I think that's definitely on this side, because there's more water in it, and it's normal if you have more mulch. So in the next year we probably will make shallow wheels on our compost spreader and drive like more densely here.